Hello. 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 Anybody is there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. So why this problem is happened? I'm trying from 2 o'clock.
Maybe host did not started meeting.
Yeah. You are also joined just now only.
No, sir. At 2 only.
The 2 only, but my admission is not permitted. Just now only it is permitted.
Yes, sir. Even mine also. Host
Okay,
need to
that's why I'm asking.
start meeting, sir. Problem from host, not from us.
Yeah, problem from host only. That's why I'm asking. They have not started. Just now only they start. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Now we have to concentrate on the forward market. So previously we have discussed spot market. Now we have to concentrate on the forward market. So forward rate quotations, long-term and short-term positions, forward cross-exchange rates, swap transactions, and forward premium we have to discuss. So these are the important topics we have to discuss under this topic. Now, what do you mean by a forward market? So generally, we will agree to buy certain quantity of foreign currency. Now, this agreement is there in between two parties. They are going to exchange the, for example, INR with the US dollar or INR with euro, like at the future. So future date, quantity will be exchanged in future. So generally this is called a forward market, but not we are exchanging today, but agreement is today. Two parties which are agreeing today to exchange in future. In future means after 1 month or 2 months. So this fellow maybe wants to exchange INR with US dollars, some 10,000 US dollars that you want to exchange after 1 month. So like that, this is the agreement in between the two parties. So for the purpose of to exchange the currency for one currency with another currency. So that is INR with the euro and other currencies at some future date, that is next month, with the exchange rate. So what is the exchange rate that you must decide now only? At what exchange rate you want to exchange after 1 month? That is called forward rate. So for example, you may be accepted, both the parties are accepted to exchange $1 at 75 rupees after 1 month, right? So delivery date is next month or next 2 months or next 30, 90 days like. So the quantity is nothing but number of dollars, or the dollars, maybe you want to exchange $10,000 or $1,000 like this. Okay. So this type of agreement is called the forward market. The agreements which are taking place in the forward market related to exchange of one currency with another currency in the future at a particular exchange rate. So on a particular date with a particular quantity. That is nothing but forward market. So such contracts are drawn between the banks, between the two banks, or between the bank and its customers. So these are the major currencies which are quoted in the forward market. So they are generally in terms of US dollars with Dutch mark, Swiss franc, pound sterling, Belgian franc, Dutch gulden, Japanese yen, Spanish pista, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, etc. These are the certain imported currencies which are presented here. Now here we have to know how these are quoted in the forward market. The quotes for the forward are published in newspapers and periodicals, right? So like spot rates, these forward rates also published in the newspapers or maybe the periodicals. So you can also browse through internet. So these are outright quotes now. Spot is INR 40 to 40.30 per US dollar. 1 month forward is 39.80 to 40.20. 1 US dollar, and 3 month forward rate is 39.60 to 40.10. Now this left side value is called what? All these left side values are called bid rates. Right side values are called ask rates. So bid rate spot is 40, ask rate spot is 40.30. 40 rupees 30 paise per dollar. The 1 month forward rate is bid is 39.80 and the ask rate is 40.20. So 3 month forward rate also published here, 39.60 bid rate and ask rate is 40.10. This is per dollar. So you know what do you mean by a bid and what do you mean by ask. What is bid? What do you mean by bid rate?
Buying.
Buying rate. Right? Buying rate of the banker and selling rate of the banker. So swap quotes are now you can also present like this. So this is about outright quotes and these are the swap quotes. In swap quotes, the basic value which is not recorded here. Only points will be recorded. For example, you can take the same one. So bid rate is how much in the case of spot? 40 rupees per dollar. Ask rate is how much? 40.30. Right? Instead of writing 40.30, we will record only 30. What is 30? 30 points. 40 may not be recorded here. We will go by only these decimal places. Right? Now, same you can also come to this 1 month forward. Tell me 39.80. So previously spot rate is how much? 40. Now it is decreased to 39.80. That's why you will put in the brackets 20. Difference is how much? 40 minus 39.80, 20. Within brackets 20. And this is ask rate is how much? 40.20. 40.30 minus 40.20. How much it is reduced? 10 points. Within brackets 10 points. Now the last one is 39.60, 40.10. Now how much? 40 minus 39.60 is 40 points. And 40.30 minus 40.10 is 20 points. This way of presentation is called swap quotes. Now you can experience in the market. It may be outright quote or it may be a swap quote. Outright quote is recorded like this and swap quote is recorded like this. Okay. These are the two types of ways of recording the quotes in the market. It may be outright or maybe a swap. So simply they save the time and the place in recording. That's why they will use the only decimal places. So forward market for Forex involves agreements to buy and sell the foreign currencies in the future at prices agreed upon today. So bank quotes for 1, 3, 6, 9 and 12 months. Maturities are readily available for the forward contracts. So in market, you will get 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months like. If period is more, now we will have the swaps. So if you have agreed to sell anything, spot or forward, you are short. Short means two terms, words we will use here, short, long. What is long? Long is meant for buy. The meaning of long is buy. Meaning of short is sell. So short is sell. So if you have agreed to buy anything, forward or spot, now you are called the long. So you have a long position. So if you have agreed to sell Forex forward, you are short. If you are agreed to buy Forex forward, you are long. So that's why you must try to realize which is long and which is short. Now we will also have the concept of premium or discount. When you compare the forward rate with spot rate, is the forward at premium or forward at discount. When it is at premium, forward rate is greater than the spot rate. For example, spot is 40, forward is 41. Now, this 41 is greater than 40. Because of that, forward is at premium. Otherwise, spot is 40, forward is only 39. So, forward is at a discount. So, these are the two concepts. Forward premium or forward discount. So, forward premium or discount is expressed as an annualized percentage deviation from the spot rate. So, now you can compute. Forward premium or discount is equal to Nda forward rate minus spot rate divided by spot rate into 360 by N. Yeah, you please try to understand the formula. What we are doing here is we want to find out the premium or discount. Okay. Now, what is Nda forward rate? Nda forward rate is the forward rate is for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days like. That is called Nda forward rate. Number of days. 1 month means 30 days. 2 months means 60 days. So spot rate is the rate which is there at present. Divided spot rate into 360 by N. Why we are doing like this? Because the period is for example, 2 months or 3 months or 1 month. This will be converted into per annum. That's why per year, the number of days you will assume 360. So 360 by, for example, 30 days. 360 by 30. Now you can try to work out this. So find out the forward rate differential. If spot rate of USD is INR 45 and a 1 month forward rate is 45.80. So these are the two rates which are given. Forward spot rate of USD is 45. 1 month forward is how much? 45.80. Now you can use the formula. Nda forward rate is 45.80 minus spot rate is 45 divided by spot rate, that is 45 into 360 by 30. Why it is 30? 1 month forward. So into 100. Why it is 100? You want to express in percentage. So how much? 21.33 percentage. What is this? This is called premium. Forward premium is 21.33. So this is the way of calculation. So it will be known as forward premium as the value of USD has increased. Now, are you following or you have any doubt?
Sir, 360 by 30. There was how it got.
The forward rate is for how many days? Forward rate is for how many days? 1 month. 1 month means how many days?
30 days.
30 days. So why we have to
360 days by 30 days.
Yeah, why we have to do like this? This is per month, no? That will be converted into per annum. Rate will be converted into per annum. Per annum means 360 by 30. And multiply with 100. You will get a percentage. This is 21.33 percentage per annum.
Okay, sir.
That's why we have to use 360 by 30. Because this premium is for 1 month only. But we want to express for per annum is how much? That's why we will multiply like this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we will also have a cross rate. What is cross rate? For example, if there is no exchange rate between the two currencies, how you will find out the exchange rate? For example, if direct exchange rate is not there in the market between the two currencies, A currency and B currency. So how you will find out the exchange rate between the currency A and currency B? With the help of the third currency, C. That C is there, exchange rate between A and C. Exchange rate between B and C is also there. But exchange rate between A, B is not there. So that's why based on this third country exchange rate or currency exchange rate, we will find out the exchange rate between A and B. That is called cross rate. So cross exchange rate between the two currencies is found out through their value in a common currency. That C is a common currency. C is a common currency between A and B. That's why we will use that and find out the exchange rate between A and B. Or simply, if INR and dollar is exchange rate is there. But the INR and, for example, the other currency, Canadian dollar, which is not there, for example. But the exchange rate is there between Canadian dollar and US dollar, and US dollar and the Indian rupee. But what is missing here? There is no exchange rate between Indian rupee and Canadian dollar. So how can you find out? With the help of US dollar. US dollar is a common currency between Indian rupee and Canadian dollar. That is the way you can calculate, and it is called cross rate or cross exchange rate. So cross rate trading, one currency is sold for a common currency, and again the common currency is exchanged for the desired currency. So cross rate is nothing but the rate established between the two currencies. Rate is established between two currencies is nothing but the cross rate. Is it clear or any doubt?
Clear, sir.
So for example, this is like this. Spot rate is there in between INR 35.20 US dollar, Canadian dollar 0.76 to 0.78 US dollar. What is missing here? Tell me. What is missing? Now we are not having any exchange rate between INR and
INR and Canadian.
Canadian dollar. That we have to find out. What is the common currency here? US dollar is the common currency. So 1 month forward rate is INR 34.50 and 34.80. That is Canadian dollar 0.79 to 0.83 for US dollar. Now you have to find out the spot and forward exchange rate between the rupee and Canadian dollar. So how we have to find out? We have to use a formula. If you want to find out bid rate, 1 by ask rate. If you want to find out ask rate, you have to use for 1 by bid rate. This is the formula you have to use and you can find out. But this is about theoretical explanation. Selling spot cross rates, you have to find out. Selling rate of the Canadian dollar in India. So selling the rupee for the US dollar at INR 35.20 and then buying the Canadian dollar with US dollar 0.76. So 35.20 by 1 into 1 by 0.76. You will get 46.32. Now buying rate of the Canadian dollar in India. So how you will find out? So buying INR for US dollar at rupees 35 and selling the Canadian dollar for US dollar at 0.78. Okay. Now you can find out here 35 by 1 into 1 by 7.78. So you will get 44.87. So the spot exchange rate between the rupee and Canadian dollar is 44.87 to 46.32. So this is the way you must try to find out. In the case of forward rate also, same thing you have to apply. So this is the way of calculation. That is about cross rates. Now come to the real, nominal, real and effective exchange rates. There is a difference between nominal rate, real rate and effective rate. What is nominal rate? Nominal rate of exchange is nothing but the number of units of the domestic currency that can purchase a unit of a given foreign currency is called nominal exchange rate. For example, 74, which is given now, that is rate is a nominal exchange rate. So a decrease in this variable is termed as nominal appreciation of the currency. For example, 74 becomes 73. Is it appreciation of rupee or depreciation of rupee? Is it appreciation or depreciation?
Depreciation.
That is called appreciation. Previously, we used to pay 74, but it is reduced to 73. So, which currency is strong? Indian currency becomes strong now. 74 becomes 73 only. There is no need to pay 74. You can pay only 73, right? So that's why, is it appreciated or depreciated? You must try to find out. So an increase in the variable is termed as the depreciation of the currency. Increase means instead of 74 rupees per dollar, it will become 75 rupees. Previously, we used to pay 74. Now we are using to pay 75. Means depreciated. We used to pay 74, but now we are used to pay only 73. Instead of 74, we are paying 73 only. That's why rupee appreciated. So rupee appreciated means dollar depreciated. Rupee depreciated means dollar appreciated. That is a reverse. If one currency appreciates, the other
Another
currency will
country
depreciate.
depreciates.
One currency depreciates, the other currency will appreciate. Is it clear?
Yes.
So now the nominal exchange rate is very clear. The rate which is given in the market. So real exchange rate. The real exchange rate is nothing but price adjusted exchange rate. So whatever the nominal exchange rate is there, that you have to adjust it. So that if you adjust the nominal exchange rate with the price index, now you will get the real exchange rate. So relationship between nominal exchange rate E and the real exchange rate ER, now you can rewrite. ER is equal to E into P divided by P star. What is P and P star? P and P star are domestic and foreign price indices. Domestic price index is P, foreign price index is P star. Well, now you know what the wholesale price index, retail price index, like that. That price index you will take. For example, the price index changed from base year to the current year is 10. Now, in the case of domestic currency, the price index may be changed from the previous to current year, maybe 10%, maybe more than 10%, maybe less than 10%. Now, in that case, if the both changes are same, we are not having any effect. If one change is less, another change is more. The change in one currency is more than the change in the other currency. Which change? The price indices or the price index. Now, according to that, the real exchange rate will change. For example, if the price index in India and the USA rises from 100 in 1998 and 120 and 110 respectively in 2001, and if the nominal exchange rate between the two currencies during the two dates remains at INR 40 US dollar, the real exchange rate will move to 40 into 120 by 110. This is equal to 43.64. So it is how much? 40 only. Why it becomes 43.64? Why it becomes 43.64? Because the index is more in India compared to US. So higher the price index means the prices will increase. That will be adjusted now. If you adjust and you will get the real exchange rate. Real exchange rate is 43.64 for US dollar. Yeah, any doubt here? Any doubt is there in this example?
No, sir.
So you must try to adjust the nominal exchange rate with the price index. So where prices are increased more according to this example? Prices increased in India is more compared to the US. That's why our rupee will depreciate. Previously we used to pay only 40, now we have to pay 43.64. So in a floating rate regime, the nominal exchange rate moves automatically with a change in the price level. There is no need to calculate real exchange rate. Why? We are using the floating rate mechanism. This floating rate will adjust the every change in the exchange rate every minute. Everything will be discounted in the market. So, but in a fixed rate regime, fixed rate means these rates, exchange rates may not change every minute. Only periodically these will change if central bank is going to allow to change. In that case, this calculation is very much required. Otherwise, there is no need of this calculation. A gap between the nominal exchange rate and the real exchange rate, which is there when you use the fixed rate regime. Fixed rate means, for example, 74 rupees per dollar. Every time 74 only. It may not change. Why? We are following fixed rate regime. But this is not there. Throughout the globe, most of the countries, they are using floating rate. Now, the last concept is called effective exchange rate. What is effective exchange rate? Not only one commodity price will change. There is a change in different commodities, right? So, in the measure of is the measure of the average value of a currency relative to or more other currencies, normally shown in the form of an index. For example, there is a exchange rate between INR and Euro, INR and American dollar, INR and Canadian dollar, like this. Basket of currencies are there. Now, INR may appreciate with one currency, it may also depreciate with another currency. So that's why this impact you want to know. That impact, if you adjust it, that is called effective exchange rate. So construction of effective exchange rate index involves certain steps. What are those? You please select the currency for the basket. So basket means so US dollar, Euro, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, like that you have to select the currencies. These are called basket of currencies. Find out the weight of different currencies in the basket. You please try to find out the different currencies in the basket. How many types of currencies which you are using. And find out the exchange rate index also. So based on that, you have to find out calculate the exchange rate index. So now the exchange rate between two currencies in a floating rate regime determined by the interplay of demand and supply forces. The demand and supply forces which are going to influence the rate. So the demand for the foreign exchange or foreign currency comes from individuals and firms who have to make payments in foreign currency, so mostly on account of import of goods and services and purchase of the securities. So the supply of foreign exchange results from the receipt of foreign currency. This is normally on account of export or sale of financial securities to the entities. So ultimately, this 74 or 75 rupees per dollar is depending on so many number of factors which are going to influence in the market. Ultimately, according to our economics, we will call it as the impact of demand and supply conditions which are prevailed in the market. These demand and supply conditions will influence the exchange rate. Now you can see demand and supply. So where the demand and supply which is going to intersect. So this is the rate. So rate is almost 441.20. Now like this, you can also try to find out if the demand may be extended or supply may be extended. Now what is the rate? So it may be a currency market, it may be a commodity market, it may be vegetable market, it may be stock market, it may be money market. Ultimately, the demand and supply will influence the exchange rate in the forex market. So supply side and demand side effect. Supply of foreign currency is created by Indian exports of goods and services, Indian capital inflows. Demand for foreign currency is created by Indian import of goods and services, Indian capital outflows. Like that, we have to find out the four important aspects which will come under. Supply of Indian rupee is created by Indian imports of goods and services and Indian capital outflows. Demand for Indian rupee is created Indian exports of goods and services and Indian capital inflows. These are the situations which are going to buy the domestic currency or sell the domestic currency. So what are the causes of demand shift? Why the demand is shifting, okay, in the foreign exchange market? So because of GDP changes in the country. So country's GDP may be increased or decreased compared to previous period. When a country's income falls, the demand for imports falls. When demand for foreign currency to buy the imports fall, so price level changes also influence, that is inflation rate, interest rate changes. If interest rate is more or less, a country which is having lower the interest rate, now which this country is having the appreciation in their price. If it is higher, the interest rate leads to higher inflation rate, and higher inflation rate leads to the depreciation in the currency. So this is about a demand shift, how the demand which is shifting from one quantity to the other quantity which is demanded by the investors in the market. So the factors influencing that are flow of funds on the current and capital account, impact on the inflation, interest rates, combined effect of interest rate and inflation rate. Now intervention by the monetary authorities like the Reserve Bank of India and its intervention in the foreign exchange market. Now participants' psychology and bandwagon effect on the exchange rates. So these are the important factors which will influence the market exchange rate. So exchange rate determination of in forward market, how the exchange rate which is determined in the forward market. So that is interest rate parity theory, which we have already discussed, covered interest rate arbitrage theory, uncovered interest arbitrage. So these are the important items which will come under the factors which are influencing the exchange rate determination in the market. Any doubt in this presentation? Exchange rate determination.
No, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Anwar here.
Yeah.
I just want to know when we will receive the test books, sir. Still, we didn't receive the. How we will
No,
collect?
sir, I am only a teacher. I don't know, but you have to ask the appropriate authorities. That is Ambedkar Open University professors. You have to ask. I am not from Ambedkar Open University. I am from Usman University. I am only a counselor.
Okay, okay,
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know when the books are going to be released. So they only knows. Ambedkar people only knows.
fine, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Guys, it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Now we have to move on to the foreign exchange market. So, who are the participants? What are the distinct futures of this foreign exchange market? So now we know that the foreign exchange market consists of three important aspects: exchange rate mechanism, foreign exchange market, and a foreign exchange risk management. So exchange rate mechanism, so which we have already discussed, the quotations, right? Direct quote, indirect quote, like, and foreign exchange market, so spot market and forward market, and foreign exchange risk management. We will go with the transaction exposure, translation exposure, and economic exposure. So these are also we will discuss later. So first we have to concentrate on the foreign exchange market. So this is a market where the foreign currencies will be bought and sold. So in this market, like stock exchange, you will buy the securities in the market. But in foreign exchange market, you will buy only currencies. So any foreign currency you can buy. If you have any current foreign currency, you can sell. So the buying and selling of the different currencies in this market is called foreign exchange market. So these are important features of the foreign exchange market. So foreign exchange market is a OTC market. What do you mean by OTC? Over the counter market. Over the counter market means, yeah, these are the trades which are taking place outside the exchange. For example, we have stock futures, stock options, index futures, index options. These are traded in the stock exchange. For example, Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange. Right? But when you talk about these forward contracts, currency forwards, currency futures, or currency swaps, like these products will be traded in the OTC market outside the exchange. But most of the transactions which are traded with the help of the banker only. Generally, in between buyer and seller, the banker is acting as an intermediary, and the banker will play an important role, right? So, the bankers will arrange the counterparty. What do you mean by that? If we want to buy a foreign currency, he will arrange the seller. If you want to sell, he will arrange the buyer. Or otherwise, what they will do, they will take the positions. Now, you want to buy, he will sell. You want to sell, he will buy. That's why every day the banking companies will be entering into so many number of contracts. So in the form of forwards and swaps. So according to that, they will also try to plan their positions, and they also wants to avoid the risk which is involved in the market. And because of that, they can also hedge the things. So the other one is this market will operate round the clock. What do you mean by that? 24/7. Why? Because in India, the day and night timings are different. In US, the day and night timings are different. In Britain, the day and night timings are different. Because of that, this market will be operated 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. That's why we'll call it as round the clock, the buying and selling activity, which will continue. Now we have two important segments here. What are the wholesale segment and retail segment? And these are all the trades which are taking place through electronically, digitally only. Now we are not going to go anywhere. For example, previously we used to go to Mumbai for what? To participate in the Bombay Stock Exchange because we have open outcry system in those days. But now nobody is going nowhere. So sitting in front of the system or through their mobile phone, they are transacting in the market. So here in currency market also, the investors will transact with the help of the mobile phone or with the help of their desktop. So this is possible with the help of the electronic mode of transfers or the trades which are taking place. So geographical in nature. Now there are no geographical boundaries are there for this market, right? No, everybody will participate. If you may be interested, you can participate in the foreign exchange market. So intermediaries are involved everywhere. In foreign exchange market also there are intermediaries. In stock market also there are intermediaries. In other markets also generally we have intermediaries. And the volume of trade is very, very high in the case of the OTC products, that is swaps and forwards. So the risk will be minimized with the help of the derivative products. And we will also have this credit default risk or the credit derivatives like. So we have the purchasing power which is going to influence the exchange rates in the market. So it is over the counter market. It operates around the clock. It has two segments, wholesale and retail segment. Now electronic market and geographical dispersion. Now intermediaries are there, are involved in the market and values are very high. And these are used for the purpose of minimizing the risk and revision of credit and transfer of purchasing power. These are all there in the case of this. Now we will also have these foreign exchange market functions. Now the functions which we have to discuss in the form of transfer function. So conversion of one currency into the other currency. Now if this market is not there, it is very difficult to transfer the currencies from one type of currency to the other type of currency. For example, you want to pay the fee of your brother which is studying in US. How you will pay? Now you will buy the dollars in the market by paying the INR and those dollars are used to pay the fee. So that transfer function is possible because of this market. And the credit function, now it provides the credit both national and international. It will also promote the trade. So hedge function, so Forex market provides the facilities for hedging anticipated for actual claim or liabilities through forward contracts in exchange. So what do you mean by hedging? Hedging is the process of minimization of the risk. So risk will be minimized with the help of these products. So foreign exchange market participants, these are the participants, central banks, companies, individuals, institutional investors, commercial banks, brokers, like that. These are all the players which will be participated in the foreign exchange market. Individuals may be tourists or migrants. For example, you want to travel in USA. How you will travel? You please convert your rupees into dollars and you can meet your expenses there. So that's why this is required. So firms also, they import or they may be exporting. For example, they may export. Indian company may be exporting to US company. US company will be paid in US dollars. These dollars will be received by Indian company and these dollars will be sell in the market and they will convert into the INR. For example, importer, Indian importer, right? We have to pay in dollars. What you will do? Buy the dollars in the market and pay to the exporter. So like this, the firms which are entering into buying and selling of foreign currencies regularly because of their imports and exports. Now even individuals also will involve in this. So banking companies regularly involve in this. And international organizations also participate. Hedgers, arbitrators, speculators also they will participate in the forex market. Now what the hedgers will do? hedgers will go for hedging the risk, the exchange rate risk which is involved in the market, that will be hedged by the hedgers. Arbitrages means what they will do, they are going to wait for the mispricing in the market. So in London market, the exchange rate is how much, and in the Indian market, the exchange rate is how much. If there is any difference is there, now they will enter into the market. They are called the arbitrages. They will get the profit out of difference between difference in the exchange rate because of the different places. So for example, we will call it as in one market, the exchange rate is less, they will buy there, and where the exchange rate is more, they will sell in that place. So that's why we will call it as arbitrage. So arbitrages will enter into the market when there is a mispricing or mis-exchange rate. The exchange rate is not equal in the two places. So speculators will enter into the market to get the profits. For that, they will buy the foreign currencies and sell the foreign currencies very frequently, and they want to get the profit out of their positions. It may be a long position or short position. Now, the foreign exchange market is a two-tied market, that is interbank wholesale market, and the client market is retail market. About 700 banks worldwide stand ready to make a market in foreign exchange. So non-bank dealers account for about 20% of the market, and there are foreign exchange brokers who match buy and sell orders but do not carry inventory, and foreign exchange specialists. So client market is also there, that is called retail market. So market participants include international banks, their customers, non-bank dealers, foreign exchange brokers, and central banks, which will participate, and they will also buy and sell the foreign currencies. So what is the structure of Forex market in India? So Foreign Exchange Management Act. Now we have the central government, that and Reserve Bank of India, and authorized persons are there. And we will also have FEDI and authorized money changes, authorized dealers, and the full-fledged and restricted money changes which are there, and we will discuss this. And authorized dealers are commercial banks, that are 84, and state cooperative banks 1, urban cooperative banks 2. What are the activities which they will perform? All permissible current and the capital account transactions they initiate now. So financial institutions, there are 4, and factoring agencies 5. So what type of activities they perform? The activities related to financing of international trade. Now this is undertaken by these institutions. Now full-fledged money changes. These are the called Department of Post, UCB, and FFMC, and their activities are very clear. They will sell as well as purchase the foreign exchange for private and for the business visits abroad. Now others are like Thomas Cook India Limited. No, they will go by the specified non-trade related current account or transactions like this. Now authorized. Now we have to go with the urban cooperative banks and the full-fledged money changes and authorized money changes, authorized dealers and financial institutions, which we have already discussed. So Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India, that is called FEDI. So this FEDI was set up in the year 1958. This is an association of all the banking companies which are dealing in foreign exchange in India. Typically called the authorized dealers, ADs. Now, as of self-regulatory body and is incorporated under Section 25 of the Companies Act 1956. So these are the major activities of this FEDI, is including framing of rules which are governing the conduct of the interbank foreign exchange businesses among the banks via vis-a-vis of the public liaison with RBI for reforms and development of the foreign exchange market. So this FEDI will play an important role in the market. So what are the functions which are performed by the FEDI? So guidelines and rules for Forex business will be formulated. training of bank personnel in the area of foreign exchange business. They will conduct the accreditation of brokers for the purpose of granting the approval for trade in the foreign exchange market. And they can also advise and assisting the member banks in settling the issues and matters in their dealings. And not only that, they represent member banks and government, RBI and other bodies. So this is an announcement of daily and periodical rates to member banks. So these exchange rates which are announced by FED to the member banks and others. So the members of FEDI, the total members 94 as of September 2020. So public sector banks 12, private sector banks 21, and foreign banks 44, cooperatives, financial institutions and other, which will come under 70. So members of FEDI, which we already discussed here, public sector banks, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Canara Bank, Central Bank of India, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Punjab and Sindh Bank, Punjab National Bank, State Bank of India, UCO Bank, and the Union Bank of India. These are also members of FEDI. So foreign banks are AB Bank Limited, Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank, Australia and New Zealand Banking Group Limited, Bank of America, so Bank of Bahrain and Kuwait, Bank of Ceylon, Bank of China, Barclays Bank, PNB Paribas, CTBC Bank, Citibank, Cooperative, Rabobank, and Credit. This is Agri Cooperation and Investment Banks, and the Credit Suisse Life. These are the private bankers which are part of this. So DBS Bank of India, like this. This is the list which is continuing. These are the 44 banks. Now we have private sector banks. These are the private sector banks which are part of this. So 21 bank up to Yes Bank Limited. So cooperative banks and financial institutions. So up to this is 70. So authorized dealers are also there here. So commercial banks and cooperative banks and financial institutions. Now category A, category B, category C. Category A is nothing but they can undertake all the types of foreign exchange transactions. They can set up the dealing from the handling such transactions in the foreign exchange market. Now category B is these are the branches of bank which are handling all types of foreign exchange transactions and reporting to dealing room of their bank. That is the category B. They are indirectly involving in this. So the branches which cannot undertake dealing room operations. So category C is these branches can undertake only limited type of transactions like sale and purchase of foreign currency. Right. These are the three categories. So interbank market and wholesale market. So central banks and commercial banks, financial institutions and corporate United States. So the average lot size is how much? $1 to 5 million. And Indian lot size is $0.25 to 1 million. So retail market is very much developed in the form of tourists. They are using very much. An individual needs the foreign exchange in the form of traveler check, drafts, or importer and exporter will require, and the amount is small in this particular market. That's why we'll call it as retail market. So wholesale market, the corporates, banks, central banks, speculators, state governments, hedge funds, financial intermediaries, which are very much involved in the wholesale market. So corresponding banking relationships. Now, if you take the large commercial banks, they maintain the demand deposit accounts with one another, which is going to facilitate the efficient functioning of the foreign market, right? So the international commercial banks communicate with one another with the help of these technologies. For example, they are using SWIFT. So SWIFT is meaning that Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. How can you transfer the amount of money from Indian bank to the US bank or Indian bank to the Euro bank? Like so, this is the technique which we will call it as SWIFT. Now, chips, the another technology which is called chips, clearinghouse interbank payment system. ECO is another facility. Exchange Clearinghouse Limited. This is the first global clearinghouse for settling the interbank foreign exchange transactions. So they can use like this. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of the foreign exchange market? So this is very much flexibility in trading. So which currency you want to buy, you can buy and sell. Now individual control is there. Now you can control your own the buying and selling positions which you want to take. So you please practice slowly, and if you have the knowledge, and after gaining the expert knowledge, you can invest in big values. And transparency in information is also provided in the case of this market. So wide options, we have different options are there, and you can exercise this. So reasonable cost, whatever the transaction cost which is incurring in foreign exchange market is less compared to the other markets, and profitable gains also possible if you trade perfectly. So high liquidity is also possible. Whenever you want to exit from a position of a particular currency, you can sell in the market and you can convert into Indian or the domestic currency. So high liquidity is also possible, and liquidity is nothing but convertibility. So no involvement of the central exchange. Central exchanges are not going to involve directly. And volatility is there. Volatility means the exchange rate fluctuations which are there for every minute or the second. And this market will work 24 hours. Now come to the disadvantages. Now straight away you are not in a position to trade in the market. You will depend on the brokers. That's why you have to pay the brokerage. So price determination process is also takes time, and risk factors are there in this market. So one man show, it may be depends on the brokers which they are involving and trading in the market. So high volatility is also possible. Now 24 by 7 market means it is very difficult to manage your positions in 24 by 7. So social trading and overconfidence. If overconfidence is there, you will lose the amount of money in this market. And education is very much required. There are scammers which are involved, and because of that, we have a fear in the foreign exchange market. So it is not that much easy to learn the so many aspects which will comes in the foreign exchange market. So what are the factors which are influencing foreign exchange market, which we have already discussed, but once again we have to concentrate. Political factors, technological factors, economic factors, and market psychology of the investors which they are involved in the market. So economic policy of the country, the economic policy of India, economic policy of US and other developed nations, that is totally different. And these are going to influence the exchange rate fluctuations in the market. And budget deficits or surpluses. For example, our budget may be a deficit budget or our budget may be surplus budget, which is also going to influence in the form of economic factors. So balance of trade levels and trends. Balance of trade may be a surplus or may be a deficit. That surplus or deficit may influence the exchange rate, that is INR with US dollar, INR with other currencies. So inflation levels and trends. For example, inflation which is increasing, that increased inflation will lead to the depreciation of the domestic currency. If the inflation rates are decreasing, now the currency will become strengthened. So economic growth and health also very much required. For example, in this pandemic, how much growth which is witnessed in the country. So that is important. So is it 5% or more than 5% or 10%, more than 10%, like productivity of the economy. So Productivity is very simple, the input and output relationship. Now, how much that here we are producing in a particular year, and which will also influence the exchange rate fluctuations in the market. Now, when you talk about the political factors, regional, national, international, so our example which I have already explained, Afghanistan, impact of Afghanistan and impact of the G20 countries and its relationships are the problems which may be arised, and the border issues or sensitivities in between India, Pakistan, India, China, and other countries like. So, which is also going to influence. And market psychology or sentiments which are also going to influence the exchange rate fluctuations in the market. Now, the flights to quality and the long-term trends, and buy the rumors and sell the facts. So rumors which are also going to spread in the market. Those rumors also which will influence your buying and selling in the market. So economic numbers and technical trading considerations which are also influence the market sentiments. Because of that, they will take initiation. For example, in the stock market, which we have encountered in the last 2 weeks. So 2 weeks back. So Rakesh Junjunwala purchased G security, G stocks in the market at 220 rupees. Now after 1 week, it will be extended to 333 rupees. Like the difference is some 116 or 17 rupees profit that fellow gained within only 1 week. This is depending on the market sentiments which are going to prevail in the market, and that will lead to the increased price or maybe even decreased price also. If the price which is increased in the market, they will get your profit. The same, the similar things which are also going to influence in the foreign exchange market. And the technical factors which are capital movement, now relative inflation rate in 2 countries, 3 countries like. So lower the inflation rate, strong the currency, higher the inflation rate, weaker the currency. Exchange rate policy and intervention. The Reserve Bank of India and its policy intervention in the foreign exchange market. Some of the central banks which are not going to involve in the foreign exchange market because they are into totally free from the market interventions. For example, United States of America, that central bank is not going to involve in the foreign exchange market. So because they are using using the method that is called free float method. So totally the exchange rate is flexible and they are not going to participate. Means the central bank is not going to intervene in the foreign exchange operations. But here we are using a managed flexible rate and flexible exchange rate mechanism which Indian Reserve Bank which is using. So Reserve Bank of India may also intervene when the requirement is there to stop the heavy fluctuations which are there in the foreign exchange market. So that's why they intervene in the foreign exchange market. Otherwise, they are not going to intervene. And based on the demand and supply conditions, the exchange rate will increase or decrease over a period of time. So even interest rates prevail in domestic country and interest rates which are already there in the foreign countries. Like that is also going to influence the exchange rate in the market. So foreign exchange transactions, this is an agreement between the buyer and seller that a fixed amount of one currency will be delivered for some other currency at a specified date. So these are the people, they agree to exchange the dollar with INR, right? So for $1, how many Indian rupees will be exchanged? That must be, we have to find out. That is called the foreign exchange transaction, which is taking place between or among the various players which are there in the foreign exchange market. Now, purchase transaction. So this means that bank purchases, acquires the foreign currency and pays the home currency. Now, sale transaction means now the bank sells spot with the foreign currency and accept the or acquires the home currency. That is called purchase transaction and sale transaction. So the foreign exchange transactions are spot foreign exchange transactions and forward exchange rate transactions. Spot and forward, which we have already discussed. Spot means today itself only. Forward means after 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months like. So these are the two important markets which we have already experienced, right? So types of foreign exchange transactions are spot transactions, forward transactions, futures transactions, options transactions, swaps transactions like. So spot, forward, futures, options, swaps. These are the different derivative products which you will involve or which you will trade in the market. Now the settlement dates in foreign exchange transactions are, so if you want to go for settlement of transaction takes by the transfer of deposits between the two parties and the day on which these transactions are effected. Now this is called the settlement date or the value date. So relevant countries are called the settlement locations. So the locations of the two banks involved in the trade, for example, you may be importing or exporting your bank. So for example, you may be an exporter, your bank is called exporter bank. Now importer bank is also there. That's why the two banks which are very much involved in a trade and are the dealing locations which need not be the same as the settlement locations. So London bank can sell Japanese yen against US dollar at Paris bank like. So settlement locations may be New York, Tokyo, and while dealing all the locations which are there in London and Paris. So in a spot transaction, the settlement or value date is usually 2 business days. That is signed for the European currencies or the yen which is traded against the dollar. So transaction date is also known as the trade date as the date on which the security is traded. So that's why we will have T plus 1, T plus 2, T plus 3 like T is trading day plus 1 day, T plus 1. Trading day plus 2 days is T plus 2 like. So settlement date is the date on which the trade is settled, right? So we maybe both the parties are agreed to settle the transaction. So settlement date is usually 1 to 5 days after the trade date and depending on the transaction's time. So it is a spot transaction or it is a forward transaction, depends on the transaction. The settlement date for a forward contract depends on the two important things. The settlement date for the spot transaction entered on the same date as the forward contract and the maturity of the forward contract in the months. For example, if a 3-month, that is a 90 days forward contract is entered into on July 20, first the spot settlement date will be calculated. Now, suppose that it comes to July 23 because of July 21st being a holiday. Now, then the settlement date for the forward contract will be October 23. So, if it is a holiday on that day, the settlement date will be shifted to the next day, that is 24th October. The spot market, so which we have already discussed in the spot market. Currency arbitrage in spot market also we have already discussed. Forward market also we have discussed. Swapping. Yeah, this is about this market. Now this is about the retention of foreign currency. How much we have to retain. So in India, the Foreign Exchange Management, Possession and Retention of Foreign Currency Regulations 2000 says that now you can retain a foreign currency up to USD 2000. Foreign currency management and realization, repatriation and surrender of foreign currency regulations 2000 requires a resident in India who receives from foreign exchange to surrender it to an authorized dealer. So whatever the money you may be received, that must be surrendered within 7 days of the receipt. In case of receipt by way of remuneration, settlement of lawful obligations, income on assets held abroad, inheritance and settlement, or gift. So within 90 days in all other cases. That is the case. So the government is not going to allow the people to carry the foreign currencies. So if any foreign currency is there with you, you can go to a bank and you can exchange it. So bankers will give the INR, or your account will be created with INR if you have an account. So dollars must be surrendered to the banker, or maybe any other foreign currency which is there with you, that will be surrendered. For example, if you want to travel in US, so you may be transferred INR to US dollars, right? So whatever the dollars you may be getting, those total dollars may be expended in US or not. For example, total is not expended, 80% you may be expended and 20% left over with you. After coming back to India, or maybe at airports also, you can transfer those remaining are the dollars which are lying within your packet, and you can exchange those dollars into rupees. So don't carry the foreign currency. No, the police people will caught it. So now we have a market for currency derivatives, currency futures and options. Yeah, is it visible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have any doubt up to this?
No, sir.
So we have currency derivatives like the equity derivatives. We have currency derivatives, forward contracts, futures contracts, forward rate agreements, options and swaps, which are called derivatives. So financial market. So financial market with bond and derivatives markets. So spot, preferred stock, exchange rate currency, money market, no spot market, no the securitization, so fixed income. So like that we have what? So we have a stock market, foreign exchange market, other markets, OTC market, derivative market, bond market. So we are into derivative market. So derivative market. So when you talk about this derivatives market, so this uncertainty, future is uncertain and uncertainty leads to the risk. So for the purpose of that, everyone is irrespective of nature and form of the existence is subject to risk and uncertainty. For example, you may be an individual, or you may be a company, or you may be a partnership firm. Everybody will be exposed to the foreign exchange risk. Simple example also I want to share you. For example, you want to go for the higher studies in abroad, or you want to go to US and you want to pursue your higher studies in US universities, right? Now in that case, they ask you to pay the fee. Right? Every semester you have to pay fee. For example, 500 or some $1,000, you assume that $1,000 is the fee, for example. Every semester they will collect $1,000 only. But what is the problem to your parents? The problem to your parents is that at the time of taking admission, the exchange rate may be 74. Now after 6 months, exchange rate may be 75. Now previously they used to pay 1,000 into 74, 74,000. That is enough to pay the fee. But now how much they must pay? They must pay $1,000 only. But how much Indian currency is required to buy $1,000? 75 rupees per dollar. So 75,000 they will pay. That's why they are incurring loss because of this. 74 becomes 75 means Indian rupee depreciated and US dollar appreciated. So if Indian rupee is depreciating, your parents are getting loss, right? Now the other way means you may be working in US. So when you are working with the US and whatever the salary or income you may be earning there, that you want to send to India. If the rupee is depreciating, you will get more rupees in India. For if you are sending $1,000, right? $1,000 into 74,000 your parents will get. Or otherwise, rupee will be depreciated to 75. Your parents will get 1,000 into 75, 75,000. So this is the way you are paying or you are receiving. Is it a cash inflow or is it a cash outflow? For example, if a company is there, is it an export or import, which is going to play an important role? So that's why. So when cash inflow is there, if the domestic currency depreciates, you will get more. If cash outflow is there, if domestic currency appreciates, you will pay less. Now this is the advantage. So this is caused by changes in economic and social and political scenarios. So many factors will influence the exchange rate. Adverse changes tend to threaten the survival of institutions, individuals, and business. For example, if 70 may becomes 80 rupees per dollar, so how much extra you have to pay? So you may be pursuing your studies in US. So extra 10 rupees per dollar extra you have to pay. That is the loss. So that risk is there always. So adverse changes which are going to influence individuals, institutions, governments, banking companies, and other companies. A need was felt to develop financial instruments for the management of such risk. Now, what is required now? These risks are foreign exchange risk will be managed. How we have to manage this foreign exchange risk? We have to manage with the help of by using the derivative products, currency derivatives, currency futures, currency options, currency swaps, currency forwards. We have to use and we have to uh, hedge the risk. So derivatives. What do you mean by a derivative? The value which is derived from the underlying asset is called a derivative product. For example, currency derivative. Underlying is what? Currency. Now we have equity derivative. Underlying is called equity. Bond or debt instrument derivative or bond derivative. Underlying is bond. Right? So like that, the currencies which are known as underlying. But on those underlying currencies, you can design a contract that is called the forward future options like. Now, from currency derivatives market point of view, underlying would be the currency exchange rate. So to put it simple, an example of derivatives is curd, which is derived from the milk, right? So derivatives are used for hedging, arbitrage, and speculating activities are the purposes. So derivatives are financial contracts whose values are derived from the value of underlying primary financial instrument, commodity or index, such as interest rates, exchange rates, commodities, and equities. So derivatives are kind of insurance instruments which can be traded in the stock markets. So derivatives will act as a insurance instruments or insurance products. It will give the assurance or it will reduce the risk which is involved. So the US Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, derivatives as financial instruments whose performance is derived at least in part from the performance of an underlying asset, security or index. So that's why this is the definition which is given by the SEC. This is the market regulator of US. For example, in India, we will call it as SEBI. There it is called SEC. SEC defined that derivatives are financial instruments, right? Financial instruments are equity, debt, no currencies, interest rates, etc. Whose performance derived? The performance of the derivative will be derived from the underlying asset. It may be full or it may be in part from the perform underlying asset or security or index. The Securities Contract Regulation Act 1956 defines so derivative to include a security derived from a debt instrument, share, loan, or any other form of security which derives its value from the price or index or prices of the underlying securities. So this is defined by the Securities Contracts Regulation Act 1956. So anyhow, finally, the derivative is nothing but the value which is derived from the underlying asset. So the characteristic features which we have to derive from the definitions underlying. So the rates are the prices that relate to the asset or liability underlying derivative instrument, right? So notional amount, the number of units or quantity that are specified in derivative instrument is called notional. Notional means which is not going to be exchanged. For example, currency futures, currency options. Like notional value is are the principal amount which is not exchanged. Interest amount may be exchanged. Interest rate futures, currency futures, commodity futures, equity futures, or swaps like. So minimal initial investment, very minimum amount of initial investment which is required in the case of derivative products. For example, your contract size may be 2 lakhs. How much money we have to invest or deposit? No? For example, 10% of it. So 2 lakhs into 10 by 100, 20,000 is more than enough to enter into this worth of contract. 2 lakhs which are not required now. But if it is a cash market segment, how much money you require? It requires 2 lakhs, not 20,000. So that is the difference. So novelty is nothing but it is a new concept. So derivatives possess a combination of novel characteristics not found in any form of the assets. That's why we must differentiate a derivative product with the other products. Position. So it is very much comfortable to take a short position in derivatives than in other assets. Short position means sell position, long means a buy position you can take. So liquidity is nothing but whenever you want to sell, now you can sell in the market, you will find a buyer. So derivatives traded on exchanges are liquid and involve the lowest possible transaction cost. That's why if you compare the derivative products value is more high compared to the cash market segment. So derivatives can be closely matched with specific portfolio requirements. So if you want to diversify the risk of your portfolio, you can include these products into your portfolio. So margin requirements are there in the case of certain types of derivatives. For example, currency futures. In the case of currency futures, now this is about exchange traded product. Currency futures, currency options are exchange traded products. These products are available in the stock market. For example, swaps and forwards, which are available outside the exchange. So popularity, derivatives are traded globally, having strong popularity in financial markets. Right? There is huge popularity which is there for derivatives. Relationship. So derivatives maintain a close relationship between their values and the values of the underlying assets. So these are the certain important characteristic features of the derivative contracts. Why currency derivatives are needed? What is the need or necessity of the currency derivatives? So discovery of futures and current prices. So price discovery is possible with the help of the currency derivatives because whatever you want to exchange after 1 month, That will be decided today itself. For example, you want to buy $1,000. At what rate you want to buy after 1 month? Now I want to buy at some 74.20. Your counterparty may be agreed to sell at 70.20. Now this is with this. Now your risk is now extended to only this 70.20. Like now, the transfer the risk from risk averse to risk oriented. Those who are interested to take the risk, those who are interested to avoid the risk. So this is transferred from the risk avoiders to the risk seekers. And this is also going to encourage the savings and investment concept or the behavior in the minds of the investors. Now you can take, for example, in this pandemic period, now 10 lakhs, some accounts, new demat accounts which are opened in India to trade in the stock market. So that's why the number which is increasing over a period of time and provide a lower transaction cost. It provides the lower the transaction cost. That's why the derivatives are very much required. So increase the volume of the transactions, the volume of transaction which is high compared to the cash market segment. So provides for hedge for the investors. This is also providing for the purpose of hedging these cash flows which are going to receive or pay in the future. Now facilitate liquidity for investors and increase managing and monitoring activities of various participants in the market. So these are the things which leads to the use of derivative products in the market. Now we have currency derivatives trading players who are involved in the derivatives market. So we have hedgers, we have speculators, we have arbitragers. Who is a hedger? Hedger is nothing but he wants to minimize the risk which is involved in the exchange rate fluctuations in the future. For example, you may be exported and after 1 week or 10 days, you will receive your export value. That is, for example, 10,000 US dollars you will receive after 10 days. Now, what is the problem with this 10,000 US dollars you will receive after 10 days? The problem is that the today's exchange rate is 1 and after 10 days the exchange rate may be less or maybe more. For example, today it may be 74 and after 10 days it may be go more than 74 or less than 74. Now that will leads to the volatility to the exporter. That's why you will enter into a hedging, right? That is called, this fellow is called hedger. Hedgers are very much interested to minimize the risk which is involved in the case of receipt of cash flows and payment of the cash flows. But speculators, they are not going to receive anything. Only thing is that they want to take a position. Position may be a buy position or sell position, and within very short period of time, they want to get the amount of profit. Those are called the speculators. Arbitragers, which I've already explained, they will observe the different markets. So in different markets, different prices which are quoted in between the two currencies. Now that they want to take an advantage, and where the exchange rate which is less, they will buy there. Where the exchange rate which is more, and they will sell there. In addition to that, what we have to consider? The expenses which are involved, the transaction cost which is involved in this, also we have to consider. Your payoff may increase or payoff may decrease because of the transaction costs which are involved here. So after deducting the transaction cost, if any amount of profit which is left over, now you can enter into one market and take a short position there or long position there, and you can take a different position in the other market. So these are the currency derivatives and the types. So currency forwards, currency futures, now currency forward rate agreements, currency options, and currency swaps. Now these are the products which we have to discuss now one by one. Now, yeah, you have any doubt? Another 3 minutes are there. Otherwise, we will discuss in the next class.
No, sir. No doubts.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. We will discuss the remaining topics in the next class.
Okay, sir. Bye.
Right.